Next, let's talk about state and rendering state. Let me get rid of that comment. So state is the data that your app keeps in its internal memory. It's the data that you want to represent in your view. The app usually needs some representation of the internal memory to kick off, and that's what init is for. So let's say our app holds a value in its memory called name, and the name at the beginning is John Doe. Okay, so this is just what the app has in its memory when the app starts. And the state is what we want the app to show us dressed up. That's the reason view is a function, so that we can pass state to it as an argument. So Hyperapp will take the state, pass it as an argument to view in order to calculate the view, which means that we can change the text to hello state name. And now we are putting values of the state into the view. Let's add something called clicks. Let's put it at 0. We'll add another node here. Zero clicks. And let's also add a button. Click me. Oh, I forgot the comma there. Okay, so just rendering static values into a static HTML page is not interesting, of course. We could have just used regular HTML to achieve all this. What is interesting is what happens when the state changes, because then Hyperapp will recalculate the view and it will update the DOM nodes to represent the new value of the state. How do we do that? Well, if we want the clicks to count up each time we click a button, then we need to bind something to the onClick handler. What Hyperapp will do when it sees an event handler, anything that starts with on is an event handler in the DOM. It will expect it to be a function that takes the current state and returns the new state that we want. In this case, we want the clicks value to count up each time we click the button, which means we want the state to be kept the same, except for clicks, which we would like to have same as the old value, plus 1. So when we click this button, this action, as it's called, will be dispatched, which means that Hyperapp will feed it the current state, calculate the new state, it will calculate a new view, and then it will patch the DOM. Ta-da! Usually we don't want to inline things like this because it gets messy fast, so we will define an action as a constant function, and any functions which we intend to dispatch, typically we capitalize them so that we know that they are meant to be used as actions. So click handler equals, we can just cut this stuff out here and put click handler there. And of course it still works. Actions get passed a second value, which I'm going to demonstrate shortly, which is the event that occurred when you triggered the event in the DOM. And that is useful because we could, for instance, keep the state the same, except for the name we would want to set to the event target value. We don't have anything dispatching this action just yet, but let's add it. Add a paragraph, no options. And let's, oops, forgot the comma there. And we'll make an, we'll say text, please, and enter your name. So an input here, oops, we still need these commas that I keep forgetting. It's a type text input. It has the value of state name. And on input, use the input handler. So we can see that John Doe is the value of the input. It's the same name we're seeing up here. And now when we change the value of this input field, it's going to dispatch the input handler with the event. And through the event, we can access the target and the value, the current value of the input element, and assign that to name. Then Hyperapp is going to recalculate the view because the state has changed, and it will update this input field with the new value of state name. But not only that, it will also update this top greeting here. Let's try it. All right, now we know how to handle events in Hyperapp.